Many people believe that personal branding is about creating a false image or being someone they are not, while others believe if you work in a corporate sector, you can't have a personal brand. While the reality is just the opposite, and that's what we are discussing today. Hi, everyone. My name is Zishan, and I welcome you to the first Zishan's podcast, where we will discuss all things branding. In today's podcast, we are bursting the myths around personal branding and also discussing the importance of social capital. Molly Johnson is with us today, who's been working in marketing and branding for close to a decade now, and she'll help us untangle the webs around personal branding. Hi, Molly. How are you?
Hi, Zishan. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no, you're most welcome.
I'm excited
Just
to talk about
to,
this.
sorry, can you say that again? I'm so sorry. I'm just a little nervous.
I'm very excited to talk about this today.
Yeah, same here. Could you please just introduce yourself to our listeners and viewers?
Of course. So, I have a background in marketing, and I noticed that there was this trend that in the private sector, lots of corporate leaders and CEOs were moving into building their own personal brands to support their companies and their organizations. And that became something I became very interested in and studied. And I'm really excited about this topic. I work with subject matters, coaching them on building their own personal brands and helping them be able to leverage them to accomplish their goals and be able to reach their target audiences.
That's really interesting. So you must have lots and lots to talk about these myths which we are going to bust. So let's get into it. And uh, we have first the most common and most perceived myth with us, which is to have a strong personal brand, you need to fabricate an image. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, the first thing I'll say, it might surprise you, is that you already have a personal brand. It's already out there.
Yeah.
I can go and Google search anybody I want to at any time. And what I see is going to be what I come away with making first impressions on. And that'll be their personal brand. But a lot of people think of personal branding as what we think of as social media influencers, people who are
Yeah.
very obsessed with vanity. And a lot of times it's fake. Where I think the best personal brands and the strongest personal brands are authentic. However, they're
Hmm.
polished and professional versions of you.
Yeah. That makes sense. You know, I just came across the other day a post regarding this authenticity thing, and not many people see it as a USP to build a brand on, especially a personal brand. But as you said, it's really important to put yourself out there. You know, that's how you attract the kind of people you want to connect with, and rightly so. So you know, that's how you burst the myth around it.
Yeah. And I think, especially in the business sector, this is really important because people don't often feel that warm relational connection to companies, but they do to people. And so
Yeah.
being able to connect with a person, a face that belongs to a company is really important.
Especially in the B2B sector, I feel that, you know, where there's not a certain image which you can look at or, you know, feel the connection with, as you said. So there to build a personal brand and, you know, then connect it to the corporate one, it's really important. So it's just not about creating or fabricating an image. It's about being authentic and presenting yourself out there in the right way possible.
Yes, and I'm really
Well,
glad that LinkedIn is such a great area for people to build their brand because you're able to develop these professional relationships, but showcase you and your work in a polished manner.
yeah, rightly so. So when I started into the B2B sector, that's what I realized as well, that it sounds robotic. It looks too robotic to look at the websites, the social media platforms, the kind of content they are creating. It looks that not many people are, you know, working behind the background. It's just the AIs and etc. So once you see the image of the people working behind the scene, it really gets into the groove. Right. So moving on to the next common misconception. Many people say that personal branding is all about being famous. Is it so?
No, I think that personal branding is about opening up the right opportunities for you. And you can do that with 200 followers. You can do that with 10,000 followers. You can do that with 200,000 followers. It doesn't really matter the follower count. It matters whether or not you're opening up the right opportunities you're looking for and reaching your goals. I think too often,
Yeah, well put.
yeah, people are getting wrapped up in their follower counts instead of being effective.
I think social media has a lot to do with this myth because the instant validation which comes into the picture is getting onto their minds, and they feel that, I have put on a reel on Instagram and it has been seen by say 250, 300 followers. So it gives you that sort of validation that, I'm going in the right direction, and I'm a celebrity, nothing else. So it's really important to understand that personal branding, as Molly said, has nothing to do with being famous. You can have 200 followers, or you're just starting into the space, and then go on to build thousands of followers, and still people don't really know you as such, other than the platform where you're creating that content. So don't look at being famous, rather create the value for your readers and content consumers.
Yes.
So the next one is, many leaders have this myth. I would say I've come across many people talking about it as well. Even in my last organization, my director and the CEO used to say this, that, having a personal brand, especially on LinkedIn, will dilute the company's brand. Yeah. So when I heard this quote, it was really interesting for me to hear this and understand that people don't really want me to work on my brand, because they feel that it's somebody who has the 300, 400 followers on LinkedIn, which are just in the professional capacity, might hamper their corporate brand, which is not really true. Uh, how I see it is, at the end of the day, if you're working for an organization, you're the brand advocate for them. If you create the content, which is consumed by the right audiences, they'll visit your profile and they see the organization you're working for, isn't it?
Yeah, I agree. And LinkedIn has a lot of resources too on how employee advocacy is actually a great way to build your own company page. They want employees to be talking about their companies. You are the best voice for your company in most
Yeah.
cases. Yeah. And I've seen it actually kind of get a little bit reversed too, where people think, well, my company is going to build my brand. I don't need to do my own work, which is an interesting reversal
Correct.
on that as well. But I think both support each other and both need to be built and put time into because they can make each other stronger. And as an individual, you might be able to talk to people on an individual basis that can benefit your
Mhm.
company. And as a company, you might be able to enter the conversation and spaces that an individual brand may not, but together you can strengthen each other.
Oh, just to ask you another question, which I just thought of in between. When people say that it's going to dilute their corporate brands, is there the insecurity behind that thought, or they're thinking on other terms as well, as you just gave us the other end of the spectrum with it?
Yes, I have often found that to be the actual emotion behind that is that there's a lot of insecurity. There's a lot of, oh, that looks hard. I can't do that. Um,
Hmm.
and I think that that also comes from seeing what we like to think of as professional content creators. They put lots of time into building their own brand. But there's something to be said too for um, being able to put out authentic materials that the company itself has produced. You can do that from your own brand and showcase it with your own networks. And it's not necessarily going to be the same level of time commitment as somebody who's a professional content creator.
That sounds about right. Thank you so much for busting this myth. I don't even know how many people have asked me about this and told me to actually back down when it comes to competing between the two sides of personal branding and corporate brands. Right. So another myth. We are moving on a little fast, I believe. But the another myth which we have is So many small and mid-level companies are reason behind this myth. They believe that you can't have a personal brand if you're working within an organization. So in a way, it's I would say a follow-up question to the previous myth, but it's still a myth in itself. What are your thoughts on it?
Um, yeah, I would like to hear how you think this is a little bit different than the first myth.
See, as you said in the last myth, you said it has a lot to do with the insecurity of the organization, especially as I mentioned, the small and mid-level organization who are themselves just trying to get a feet into the ground and see where their audiences is. And one somebody who is good with content creation, who's imaginative and knows how to bring the oomph out of any situation for that matter, and they are not talking rubbish, they are talking sense. It makes them feel that why we are doing it,
Mm,
but we should be doing it as well. So that aspect also get into the part. And the another thing which I feel differentiates the two myths is when companies or bigger brands get into it, who are not really big in the size, but as a name they are big. They feel that our name has a certain brand value attached to it already, and we don't want people other than us talking about it.
yes. So I think that that is an oversight on the part of the company if they believe that their name recognition or value is greater than allowing others to be able to talk on it and build their business. I think obviously there's going to be a lot of boundaries in letting your employees become advocates for your company. You have to make sure that you're always building up the company. And there's, of course, a lot of do's and don'ts. Don't do something that
Yeah.
is unprofessional or unbecoming that would reflect poorly on a company. So there is some water to wade in that regard that you have to be careful. Um,
Hmm.
but I think it's not a reason to shut down personal brands of your employees because at the end of the day, they have vast networks. And to think that your network is going to be better than their networks, um, I don't think that that's right.
Yeah.
Both have networks that can be tapped and can bring clients or produce wonderful opportunities for the company as well. And by allowing your employees to be representatives of the company and to shine it in its best light, you're only going to benefit each other at the end of the day.
Yeah, rightly said. This also just made me think about the another side of it, that once you have somebody who has a personal brand, an established brand, especially on say a platform like LinkedIn, where you can hire a lot of people as well. And recently I've seen human resource experts get into the thick of things, especially when it comes to building a personal brand, because through their personal brand they can attract a kind of workforce which they want to bring into the organization. So I can remember two organizations here who has taken advantage of these personal brand, and it feels good that they are thinking on those terms as well.
I love that. And I love talking about the possibilities for growth and benefits for both the company and the individuals. I love that HR representatives example because they're building a brand based on their strengths and they're benefiting
Yeah.
the company with their strengths first. So I think that's a
Yeah.
wonderful example.
Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to ask you the kind of people you work with. They are more into the research side of things. So how do they see the advantage of having a personal brand?
Yes. So I work with academics in my day to day for the most part. I work with some nonprofit leadership, some folks who are in editorial side and publishing, but all of them are working with ideas. They're trying to sell an idea, which is much like a
Yeah.
product or service. At the end of the day, you need people to buy into your ideas in order to make them effective. And
Mhm.
there's definitely products that are the vehicle of the ideas, like books. I've worked on book promotion, um, as well as papers and things like that. But the ideas and making sure that they're tailored for your audience and that you're able to find the audience that you need to activate your ideas. That's mostly where we find the most progress and benefits in my particular setting.
And how do they like LinkedIn as a platform to build their personal brands?
Um, I think I still have a long ways to go in convincing everyone that LinkedIn is good. I think it depends too on their audience and where they are at. A lot
Yeah.
of them work on
Yeah.
very niche areas, and we have to find where their audience is. So there are some that I think LinkedIn is really great for them and strong. For example, I've been working with a colleague who has written a book on nonprofit management. And nonprofit managers are great to talk to on LinkedIn. So we've been
Yeah.
really working
Yeah.
with her focus there. Whereas a lot of my other colleagues might be working on research that's very specified, and they might find their audience better on Twitter, is another platform that they usually can leverage the best.
Do you feel that somewhere down the line, the traditional PR and this personal brand, the two circles overlap each other?
PR and personal branding. Oh,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah. There's a lot of overlap. Actually, I think um, if you have the best team assembled, you will have somebody who's helping you on your personal brand partner with somebody in PR. Because I think together the two of you and your skill sets will help you go the farthest. So
Yeah.
especially in a corporate setting, if you can match those two, that is the dream right there.
Actually, I thought the same thing. That's why I just wanted to get your thoughts on it. Because a lot of people believe that PR and personal brands are way separate than each other. It's because as per the myths we just came across, it's about being famous. It's about not getting into your corporate brand, and it's about fabricating an image which somewhere or the other PR is doing for those people to make them famous in a way. But rightly said, to differentiate between the two.
Yes, I
Great.
often work with our publicists, and I think that together it's the best
It's the dream.
scenario.
Yeah, yeah. You find the formula and it works nicely.
You support each other because you're
Yeah,
both working on a similar end. Mhm.
yeah, true. Great, Molly. Then it's time for the next myth, and I want to throw this directly to you.
Okay.
Building your personal brand is selfish.
So I do not think that at all. I think some people, I've definitely worked with some folks who are worried that it's going to be all about them. It's me, 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 put the spotlight on me. When I show them how their personal brand can actually benefit those around them, um,
Yeah,
it takes off and they get it, because they can be championing the people who work with them. So I love this HR example because I think that's great too. Is you can be
yeah,
championing the people in your company who have started off maybe as a junior employee and they've excelled and now they're managers, and you can tell those stories and show that with others and be able to attract great talent that starts off at that entry level job and see how they can excel in that role. And by telling those stories, it's not just putting a spotlight on you, it's putting the spotlight on those you help in your day-to-day jobs.
so I have nothing to add to it. You explained it nicely, and that's what it's all about. As you said, that it's not about being about you and you, me or me rather. It's about how you empower the people around you, because that's how you grow and scale whatever you're trying to build or do in the long run.
In fact, people
Great.
are really turned off by content that's all about them and self-promotional.
Yeah.
And people don't I think people really see past that when somebody's being overly self-promotional. But what they are attracted to are the stories about how your company, your good, your service, you and your role are able to help other people and lift them up. And that can help you go the farthest.
Absolutely. Just the other day, I saw a post on LinkedIn itself. That's what I love about LinkedIn. To be honest, it's not a social media platform. It's a professional networking platform. People, come up with so many different creative ways to just interact with and engage with their audiences. Just the other day, I was reading this post where the person just talked about his don'ts or the mistakes he made in the venture he started, and he was just criticizing himself on and on, and telling people what not to do. You know, I thought that was a really creative way to push this thing out there. Just create a different sort of flavor and add a different dimension to it.
Yeah, it seems like he really was looking at past himself and what his audience needed and trying to provide them
Yeah,
with value. I love that.
yeah, that's all about it is, no?
Hmm.
Okay, so now comes the last myth. Personal branding is just for C-suite executives.
No, I think you can be building a personal brand no matter where you are in your career, and it can only benefit you. I think I recently wrote about this and how it might look very different. What kind of goals and um, content that you would create or work on, or look connections you'd look to build where you are in your career. But throughout that, it's going to benefit you by building a brand. I think entry level employees are going to be looking more for opportunities to sharpen their own skills, build their
Yeah,
network, meet others. And by building a personal brand, they're going to be able to have all of these, especially LinkedIn, have relationships with people that they would never even dream to meet in real life because they aren't going to be working shoulder to shoulder with them every day in the office.
yeah,
But mid-level managers are going to be probably looking at finding ways to further the work that they've already done. They're going to have a set of wins already in their tool belt, and they're going to be wanting to showcase them and how they've helped their company, and try to find others maybe to get feedback from. Maybe they're going to be meeting others that are in similar levels in their career, or there might be trying to accomplish very specific goals where C-suite executives are going to be at a different level. They're going to be looking for building relationships with stakeholders and being able to persuade them for specific um, outcomes they're looking. Maybe that's finding new clients, big client portfolios and things like that. And so they're going to be having the larger scale conversations. So it doesn't really matter where you are in your career. Building a personal brand is going to benefit you, and but scale making sure that you're focused on what your goals are and who you want to be connecting to and what kind of relationships you want to be building is going to be the key questions that you need to ask yourself on the onset.
absolutely. You just explained the whole scenario and the spectrum of an organization as per the hierarchy and how they need to build their personal brands. And I feel the same way about it. And just to give you an example, or rather to the people, is the latest layoffs been happening across organizations. It just brought this sense of building a personal brand in me even more now, because if you are hiring somebody uh, in this tough time, you're not looking at somebody who's one dimensional. Want somebody who's vocal about things, who has the insight about other aspects also of say if you're working in just the product management, you also need to understand perhaps about the community building behind the product you are building, or the non technical side of it, and how you can showcase that to the people looking to hire you is, I think, through the personal brand and the platform you choose to build it on. And
Yeah, and I
that's
think
the
this I was just
yeah,
gonna
please.
connect this to what we were talking about earlier with, corporations being hesitant to let their employees build a brand. I think that corporations should be hiring based on
Yeah.
how their employees are out there and branding themselves. That should be part of the benefit that a new hire can bring to you is if they've already been building a strong brand and you see that and you know that they can use that to uh, advocate for your company, then they would be an excellent hire, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you can just, you know, perhaps hold their hand for a while and tell them that this is our messaging, and you're nearby, and if you can connect the two, will be one and one equals to 11 here. Now, just to so if you're looking at things from that perspective, it's really important for the organizations as well. One last question I had for this is, how do you think the overall scenario is changing around personal brands and corporate brands incorporating the two?
I do think that there is slowly becoming a friendlier environment for it. I have seen a big jump. I've heard from lots of friends who work for agencies that this is something that they're struggling to hire for is somebody who can help their CEOs and leadership build their brand.
Hmm.
They struggle to find people who can help write originally for
Yeah.
helping them communicate their ideas because they need sometimes some help even envisioning what it would look like for them to start building their brand. So I think that there's lots of opportunities now that weren't there in the past because people are seeing the benefits and the rewards. And we have, really big name CEOs who are out there, um, killing it with their personal brand. Um, and that is just showing to everybody what's possible.
And especially with the new generation workforce, which is coming to the picture more and more each with each passing year, because they are the ones who are technology savvy. They've been brought up with social media as something which is common for them, and LinkedIn is their go-to platform as well. So just to bring them into the fold and take their help, create that sort of culture where you're open and discussing these ideas. And as we said, sometimes it can help you with the visualization aspect as well, because I myself, if I talk about just myself, I don't really get overall the design aspect of things. I sometimes get confused by the two, so I know what I want to say, but I don't really know if it's the right way to say in the design itself. So I think they can be really handy there.
And I found that the new generation of workforce is already intuitive about what value they need to be providing with
Yeah.
their audience. And I've seen some really amazing things from more junior level employees who are entering the workforce. For example, I found an urban planner on TikTok who is doing a great job at explaining really specific concepts in her field and trying to encourage and inspire the next generation of urban planners. And I found that to be
That's
fascinating.
amazing.
Mhm. So
That's amazing.
it's inspiring even younger people who are interested in
Yeah.
a career or industry, and helping them come alongside. So they're doing a lot of this recruiting work that companies weren't able to do at even just the sparking the interest level.
Does it have anything to do with the overall entrepreneurial, buzz that's been going around for a while now, just to bring out the talent and the creativeness out for the people to see and showcase that this is who we work with and the kind of people we are working, who will be working for you as well. Does it have anything to do with it?
I think so. And I think the humanizing aspect too, that what we were talking about earlier is really important because I think um, people don't necessarily connect as well with buying from a company anymore. They want to connect with
Yeah.
how it's going to help other people. And then that seeing how it helps other people helps me. So I think that's why we've seen the rise in social media influencers being some of the primary advertisers for companies for their actual products because they're showing so well what it looks like to see the benefits of their product practically applied in a way that wasn't possible before the rise of social media. And so, just seeing from that example, we can see how building a brand, and while it doesn't have to be a social media influencer type brand, but
Right,
building a
right.
brand is really powerful in showing the benefits of a company, good, or service.
So, well, that was rightly put. And the other day I was discussing it with one of my friends that it's especially in the B2B space. It's not just B2B anymore. It B2B2C, because you're connecting to the business's customer. That's how you attract customers towards you as well, yourself as well. So that was a great session, Molly. That concludes all the myths we were going to bust today. Any last thoughts?
No, I just want to encourage companies who are on the fence about whether or not they should allow their employees to be advocates for their company to um, try it and see how it goes. But I think that they will find the best benefit if they um, find that partnership we talked about. And so, yes, you might need to set some boundaries, but starting that partnership, I think will bring you the best benefits to your company.
Rightly so. Molly's message is to look forward to the positives and put it into a proper structure, and it'll take you quite far. And to just conclude the whole the all the myths which we have posted today, let me give you a preview. It's not about creating a false image or fabricating an image. It's not about being famous. It has nothing to do with the company brands. Rather, it can help you on the contrary. And personal brand is not about being selfish. It'll never be. It is about empowering the people around you, and just not for the C-suite people. Everyone, as Molly explained previously, in the hierarchy of an organization, everyone and anyone can build a personal brand. But down the line, it's going to help them, right?
Yes. Well, this
Yeah.
has been a great conversation. I really hope that people are inspired to build their personal brands.
Yeah, same here. Thank you so much for your time, Molly. It was lovely conversing with you. And being my first podcast, I was a bit nervous, but I hope it flowed into a nice rhythm.
It did, and I'm honored, Zishan. So thank you so much for the opportunity.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for being our guest today. And just to conclude this podcast, if you found this video useful, please feel free to share it with whoever you feel it'll add value to. If you have any specific questions or myths you want Molly or me to burst for you, please feel free to comment. And if you didn't find any value in it, still please tell us. We'll try to do better the next time.
Thank you.
Right. Thank you, Molly. Have a lovely day.
Thanks, you as well. Bye.